What is happening, everybody? Happy Valentine's Day. We already got Griff in the house, so people are even sliding in tonight. Greatly appreciate it considering the day. Hey, Amy, how we doing? We're going to have another good one because we got Mr. David coming back. Skin Kwando. My blog, Sunny11, how we doing? Again, thanks for showing up. I know it's Valentine's Day, so the fact you're here to spend a little time with us tonight means a lot. Hopefully everybody had a good dinner or dessert, whatever you were doing today. Before we get started, I'm going to bring David out because he and I agree on a few things, and I'm going to go on a little rant for a minute before we get on. Also tonight, open questions, please put them in caps. So David's very well versed in a lot of different subjects, and we'll hit as many questions as we can. Does not have to be Bigfoot related. So again, Griffith, what day? Oops. Yeah. You will be rolling on the floor with the little missus sees that you forgot that, Griff. Or misters, whichever. So, with that being said, we are going to bring David out. Clean freshwater and saltwater tanks. Good job, Sonny. I did my fresh, but now my salt tank's waiting. And here is
just like that. Here I am. Boom.
that. Here we are. How we doing?
Good. How are you doing? How's everybody doing?
I'm doing good. Looks like Sonny's ahead of me. So clean your fresh and saltwater tank. I got to get my saltwater done. I always hate that. Figuring out the right ratio of salt mixing. I should have really thought that choice out thoroughly before I made it for ease of cleaning. How's your week going?
Good. Walked a couple jobs, did some work, paint work. Did I do any hikes this week? I don't think I did. No. Read a little bit.
Little
Just
twisted hello. Hey, Brian. Hey, David. Good to see you.
Enjoying the winter vibes, right?
Oh, man, there's been a lot of winter vibes.
I got some cabin fever kicking in, but it's all good.
Oh,
I'm probably
man.
gonna go on a hike tomorrow.
Yeah. It's deep out there, that's for sure. I hope you got snowshoes.
Mm.
Well, you're 6'7".
I don't, but I try
you.
to go where there's like the cross country path, and I'll just walk on that, or follow like a snowmobile trail. But there's a spot I go. I think there's a cross country. Last time there was, at least, but I don't have snowshoes.
Sonny just clued me in. I didn't know you had to mix 3 days in advance. I'm glad to know that. Now I don't feel lazy. Well, 6'7", it's probably not even knee deep for you, is it?
Oh yeah, I sent you the pictures the other day, showing you my version of trying to make them long steps. Didn't I send you?
No.
If I didn't, I need to dig those out. I thought I sent them to you, but it's like not even close. With my long legs, I was like maybe this far.
Crazy?
Yeah, like, and that's me stepping because it's like up to my knees. The snow is, so if I try to like take the longest step, like I can't get very far. Yeah.
That's why that video, I'm glad I took that video because it's like how that made 2 steps in the snow. And people have seen the photo before I'm talking about where we got escorted out, a friend and I, and there's the 2 footprints, and it took me, I think, 11 or 12.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of steps.
Plus, I'm kicking snow like a snowplow. I'm going through there like a battle tank instead of anything else. Boy, we're getting quite the crowd tonight. You drew one. Remember, everybody, open questions because, like I said, David's well versed in a lot of things. Caps for the questions, please, so I can star them, and we'll get back to them if we don't answer them right away. So, as I warned David, I'm going to do something real quick. Here.
Oh, is that you?
Not a soapbox, but it's going to do for right now. Watched the video earlier. I just had to comment on this because it relates to fitness and it also relates. Bigfoot reports today. I shared my channel post section. I'm struggling to hit that 2K mark. We hope we get there, Harley. So anyway, the video was showing a unique way to squat, we'll say, because we're PG-13. Oh, we lost David. And anyway, this guy's well known, hundreds of thousands of followers. And even looking at statistics for the amount of teens who have used, hopefully we can get him back. There he is.
I think my Wi-Fi dropped.
There we go.
I just dropped out of nowhere. I was like, no, what happened? Yeah.
Got zapped already. We haven't even started talking topics yet.
Yeah.
So anyway, this guy has hundreds of thousands of followers. And his a unique way of doing squat. The first dumb thing he does is he walks outside the safety bars, which there's a reason for the safety bars. So if you have to use them, you can lean forward and safely get out from under them. He backs completely out of them. And he walks backward with a band around his ankles. I'm sorry, but that doing that band is just dangerous. Okay, there's no reason you put a band around your ankles. David's playing David Copperfield here, in and out. And as he's backing up, you can see him almost trip.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think we're good. So this dumb person has 225 across his back. He's got a rubber band around his ankles and he's backing out. But the rubber band around your ankles is just stupid to begin with. There's no external forces that are going to push him anyway. It's not activating anything in that squat. So it's just stupid because you're going to trip, which, as it turns out, he backs up outside the safety rack again. Instead of using the safeties, goes to dump it, damn near crushes his neck and puts the bar forward. And normally this guy's got decent content. The whole point to this rant is be careful who you watch because these people, like it or not, there's only so much ocean for the fitness content creators. Now they're trying to dig deeper and create their own stuff. Now they're doing circus tricks and just to get clicks and views at the expense of teens. You know, kids are going to get hurt. Old people are going to get hurt. Young people are going to get hurt, even if they've never done this, because some of this stuff is just dangerous. And so, you know, I looked it up and 98% of the teens in that group use social media in the last month. So 98% of your kids and grandkids use social media to look up health-related things, such as mental health, physical health, and spiritual as well. But the majority, I think, was 58% was for exercise. So if even 10% of those hundreds of thousands of people try that, how many are going to wind up hurt or worse? Because I've seen videos, and I know a friend personally who didn't use safeties, loses the weight. In my friend's case, it was a bench press. He was in his basement, had 315. He couldn't get, came down across his neck, and he's no longer with us. I've seen people do it squatting. So people watch what your kids are watching. Have them talk to somebody who knows what they're doing. Just don't go by the views. Don't go by the number of followers they have, because if you look real close at that data, you'll see they have 200 and some thousand followers, but they've got like 6,000 views on a video. So where are all the followers? You know, they're buying them. So with that
lots
said,
of fake stuff out there.
I mean, talk about it's the current social media is great, but there's a abundance of information, and almost it seems like there's a bigger abundance of misinformation. So trying to sort through it.
Oh yeah, that's most definitely for any topic.
So now, what do you think of it? As far as, do you stay up on what these people are doing, or just kind of do your own thing and good with that?
What are you talking about?
David.
Working out?
Yeah, working out
Oh no,
wise.
I just do
I go to the
calisthenics.
gym, so
Like
that's why I pay attention. So
I just do like basic calisthenics every day, like just really simple stuff, just to stay fit, I guess. Not necessarily for any other reason, just to feel good, feel to get that adrenaline dump and all that that comes with it when you're working out and all that, and good start for your day. And um, my joints seem to be moving a lot better, you know, that I started doing it again. So I actually just recently started working out like a couple months ago again.
well, yeah, you gotta get ready for the hiking season, and
Yeah, that's
I,
exactly that.
I mean, because I know when I first start, like I'm doing cardio now, but normally I don't do cardio during the winter. So my first trip down, it's a mile downhill and a mile back uphill. My first trip, I'll have to stop 8 or 10 times to catch my breath.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
by the end of the summer, I can do it up and down without any problem. So I'm
Is that
getting a
that
jump.
spot you were talking about to me?
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I actually know where that's at, and I have been there. Just so you
yeah,
know.
it's not bad going down, but coming back up when you're well, it's
Yeah,
290 at the time is a lot.
yeah.
Whole different thing.
I'm
Sonny
I'm a thin
does.
person, so I'm like a super lightweight, and like I'm 6'7" tall, so I'm like a spider climbing up that thing. You know.
And no, that's the only thing I'm worried about hiking with you is just great big steps for you, baby steps on tank tread for me.
I usually try to stay up and like whoever I'm walking with, try to just pace with them rather than me pace.
I
Because
appreciate that. That's for sure.
I will take off. If I'm going at my pace, you gotta like. If I'm going at my pace, I'm probably rambling too, like la 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 la, la, telling you a story, like walking real fast, and like, oh, where's Brian at? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I hear something like a tire sucking air. That must be him at the bottom of the hill.
yeah, yeah.
So Irene brings up a good point. I don't know. I know you do. I do Griff. I do calisthenics. Yeah, 16-ounce curls and Fruit Loops for the diet.
Are you bringing that back up? What were you gonna? Yeah,
What's
that's how I feel about Ouija boards and people getting.
yeah,
I was actually just talking about Ouija boards with somebody last week, asking me if I would be interested in doing it, and I'm like, hell no, like nope. Like you
that's
don't.
me.
I think that's another thing that people think is funny, like going like tapping into like you open up something. Like I've heard a couple stories of people opening up. I don't know whatever you want to call it, portal, dimension, other side. Like things will follow you home. It'll like be in your sleep at night. Like there's like that's a real thing. Like you don't necessarily want to mess around that kind of thing. My opinion. Maybe like somebody else might have a different opinion, but I'm good on all of that. I've seen some full on apparitions. Like I'm definitely a believer and like no, there's a whole nother realm out there. We probably can communicate with it, and definitely some certain people can. A friend of mine actually is very good at that. Like she communicates with the relatives, like maybe not like in a way that we're doing it, but just like through feeling and things happening and stuff. So the ones that died around her, like since she's been alive, kind of thing. Like her grandpa is always coming back to her in different ways and stuff. But when it comes to like Ouija board and like calling grandpa that way, like who knows if grandpa's coming through? You know what I mean? Like you don't know what you're gonna open up. Is that what she was kind of asking
yeah.
about?
She's saying that how I was relating beginning fitness, pay attention to people doing like party tricks with Ouija boards, which my cousins messed with that one time, and
Yeah,
ever
that's what
since
I'm
then,
saying. You're at a party having fun, ha ha ha. Yeah. Nope.
nope, never again. Won't even allow it in my house.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, exactly. Like I
grandkids try
don't.
to bring one in, it's like nope, daddy's taking that home with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard I think I heard this on I want to say it was on a podcast. I want to say it might have been Sasquatch Chronicles because sometimes they like other podcasts will talk about different stuff. And this guy was talking about that. I want to say it started with a Ouija board and he had like these black shadows follow him around and stuff. And he would see him by his house and stuff. Like, nope. And then what are you gonna do with that? Once that happens, like I guess you could have like a seance or maybe bring a priest over if you're into that or whatever. But yeah, I'm good on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, Griff is
I'll
exactly
go. I'll
right.
go squatching.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather, you know what to
Yeah.
do when the Squatch calls you home. A paranormal spirit in your house is a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
I commented on uh, Grizzly's new show the other night, the fact that for the last couple weeks I've had the dogs will bark in the dark, and the cats will be looking the same direction, and you hear a little banging and stuff. And then the weirdest thing was I've never had a snail in my saltwater tank. I went over the other day and I got a freaking snail in the tank somehow, and he's huge. I mean, it's like in the same place where all that banging and stuff's going on. So I'm gonna go through and have a friend sage the whole house and see if that doesn't go away. I'll be sitting there, and in that saltwater tank, I got two like towers that look like reefs, and you'll be sitting there, and all of a sudden, both of them will just tip opposite directions.
Yeah. I mean, speak it into existence too. Like command him to leave. It to leave. Claim the area when you're saging it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have someone because I don't want to. I'm always worried I'll do it wrong and then tick it off, so it just gets worse.
I feel like I'm not Mr. Scientific on this, but I feel like sage is something that's been scientifically proven to. I can't speak on the science behind it, but I know it's been like this tested over the last 20 years sometimes, and they're saying like there is something to it. It does do something to the. I don't know if it's like the ions in the air or what, but it does do some sort of cleansing to the air. You know. Um, but yeah, our voice is a cleanser too, That's what I'm saying, like, we gotta be vocal
Yeah,
with it. Like, you that's a tool too.
yeah, I
Um,
think that works both ways too. If you're, I think that's probably how this came into existence was the fact that there's a lot of health issues in the house to begin with. So sometimes there's a lot of complaining about those issues. So maybe that negative energy is finally taking hold.
it
Read the
yeah,
Bible
we
a lot.
we definitely yeah, we definitely create it, so if there's a lot of negative energy around, like, that can come to light in many different ways for sure. Like, I rolled a truck last summer, and I truly believe I had so much stuff going on in my life, so much chaos, like, it came out in the physical form of me rolling my truck, you know? Like, that's a real thing, so for sure, like, you can you're being there's a lot of negative energy it can raise up that same stuff that a Ouija board might be able to pull out. Maybe not the same way, but probably the same thing. Type just negative energy.
Brian, if you don't want the snail, I will take it. I don't know. If this thing came from a voodoo snail, I don't know if I'd want to send it anywhere.
Wait,
That's
how big is this snail?
it's probably an inch and a half, 2 inches. It just appeared with the shell and everything.
Nice. And you kept it?
It's still in the tank. I just found it 2 days ago.
Was it in
Never
the
had.
tank
I've
when you
had the
found
tank
it?
up here. Yeah,
And it climbed in from somewhere and just appeared in the tank?
I have no idea where it came from.
That's awesome.
It's like I'm
Does it
hoping
have a
that's not.
spiral shell?
It looks like it's what horseshoe crabs. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah,
It's real smooth on the front with the
yeah.
bumpy
Interesting.
spiral at the back.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, I've been working on trying to do better with like manifestation. Where you trying to manifest things just like for better health right now. I'm not going to try to for the Lamborghini for a while. We'll see if I can get healthy first.
Were we talking about that last week when we got off the air? I know
We
I
were
rambled
getting,
on and I was talking about manifesting a little. Maybe it
we,
wasn't to
yeah,
you,
we
but
were getting toward that. That was why I wanted to kind of pick back up on it because it
yeah, I'll
sounds
tell
like
you, like I'm a firm believer in that. I can like yeah, like there's a lot of different ways to do it. I feel like, and I feel like maybe it's different for
it's
every person, but I can tell you that your thoughts are part of it. So you got to like really watch what you think, and it's about like if you're talking about the health, it's about constantly saying that to yourself of the direction you're trying to go in, and like more or less speaking it into existence in your brain, but also out loud with your mouth. Like it's important to say it out loud. I don't like, I'm not even sure if anybody ever really necessarily said that to me, but I can tell you that I've manifested some crazy, like literally physical things. Like uh about I was telling, I think I was telling you about that, and like it's definitely a thing. Like if you want a new job, you just got to see yourself there and like speak it, and it'll eventually come. And obviously you got to put in the work. You can't just like sit there and lay on your couch all day and like thinking you're going to think up like a new life or something. It's you got to do, like if you're working out and living a certain way, because it's about clearing your. Actually, I heard a podcast the other day. I'm gonna read it. There's 5 things to manifesting, and I'll read them real quick. These are the 5 things: raise your vibration, clarify your purpose. So like define what you're doing. Like the health. Rid any limiting beliefs, like your self doubt, or you can't do this. You got to be confident when you're saying this stuff, and nurture the energy of your desire, and take inspired action. So when you're like taking that action, when you're like moving towards that, whatever you're doing to be healthier, it's all about like making sure you're feeling and not just like kind of dragging your feet, like all of that energy matters when you're pushing that forward, and it'll come around, man. You can't stop believing it, because the second that's the self-doubt, and then it's almost like you got to start over. You have to constantly believe it. It's like, for me, I can tell you things that happen for me is painting. I run a painting business, and like when it's slow, sometimes it's stressful, man. Like I'm like running low on funds, like like trying to find a job. But I used to stress it, and I stopped stressing it 100%. I don't even worry about it no more, like whatsoever. And the person I used to be, if you only knew me from like 10, 15 years ago, you'd be like, I used to ramble, I'd be stressed out, blah, 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 like kind of high strung. Like if something was like making me worry, like trying to find some work, until I found that work, and then I'd be able to calm down. But now when I'm calm, and I just can visualize what jobs I want. Like I wanted a new construction job, but guess what? I'm doing a new construction job now. Like literally visualized it in my head, and kept putting it out there every day. Like that's what I want. That's what I want to do. And literally, I get a text from a dude named Chad that has given me work before. Like, yo, I got a new construction I want you to do. Come check it out. Like literally within a week, when I was saying I was like starting to stress out. Like
Yeah.
knowing, and not necessarily stress out, starting to know that I need to keep, not lose track of projecting the thoughts out. You know what I mean? And speaking it. When I speak it, I'm doing it during my morning prayer. I usually have tobacco and like light some sage, and I'll like really legitimately speak it into the tobacco. Sometimes you just throw it off in the wind. Like obviously you can just like speak it in the air, like sitting where you're sitting or whatever. Like speaking it and thinking it are 2 major parts of it though. Um, yeah.
I heard that,
So
and
that's like a real thing.
like writing it down in different places in your house, what you
Yep.
want.
Yeah, tuck it like Neville. If somebody people want to research this stuff of like Neville Goddard, I think is a dude that's like really into that. I like him. He's got a lot of there's a lot of speeches of him on YouTube where he's talking about that same stuff. Like, you got to really visualize it, write it and put it under your pillow, and just kind of sleep on it. And some people can find that crazy, like whatever. It's like, but words are spells, they are like literally when our language is like a spell, and it's like casting out and it's creating at the same time of, sometimes if you're just talking regular conversation, that's why someone like me, it's like hard to have small talk. I'm like always rambling about some stuff like this, you know what I mean? And it's like the other stuff, my brain just doesn't go there as well. Like I'm like over here.
Hey, this is a good place to do it because there's like-minded people who want to listen and learn about things that aren't commonly talked about. I mean, I still get people that I don't even bring up Bigfoot anymore. Somebody will say something, and I just leave it at, "Do you believe it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I kind of leave it at that, because as soon as you start talking about peanut butter jars and the DNR, then they look at you like I should be in the local mental
Yeah,
ward.
and those people think there's only one roaming the whole country.
Yeah, it's Santa Claus,
Like I
first.
saw, yeah, I saw Bigfoot. I saw the Bigfoot, the one.
Yeah, he's the only one. He's like the
Yeah,
tooth fairy. You got to do a tree look, and then he'll come
yeah.
visit you real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do a
That's
whole
crazy.
ceremony and sacrifice a jar of Jif peanut butter and
And
leave a
then
footprint.
yeah, and then he'll come out and say hi. You gotta light you gotta stick the candle in the peanut butter and then you light it. It's like a whole
Exactly.
ceremony. Yeah, you gotta set it out there.
Boy, what kind of shit? Have to set up some kind of little. Let's see, we did peanut butter. What else did we do? Maybe with like a little goober shrine underneath it for the king of the jerky.
Or something that smells like some bacon, something that like
Yeah,
ripped
there
off
we
into the
go.
woods.
Little campfire
Like,
with dedication, some s'mores.
yeah, yeah,
Oh man, now I'm getting hungry
yeah.
because I'm understanding how it works. Twisted, are you talking about the book of, I hope I say this right, Liber Chaos? Or is it Liber Chaos for manifestation?
I'm gonna type that in these same notes. What I where are you
Oh,
seeing
I'll
that
put it
at?
up. Yeah.
Liber Chaos.
Because I definitely need to get better at it.
I got so many books I need to read. I need to, but that's the thing. I think some people think you like can only learn like whatever. Like we should be learning all the way till we die. There's so many books to
Oh
read,
yeah.
so many things to hear about.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't understand how these people can get into just a topic and think they know it all. Like they
Yeah.
have the answer to life because they know how to make a toy model of the Starship Enterprise and where every button goes.
I don't want to say no names, but there's definitely a couple of the people in the Squatch world that talk like that. Like, I've been doing this for 35 years, and I know some people that work for the government. And I know. Like, man, none of us know. Get out of
Yeah.
here. Like, I mean, maybe some of the government people know if they like have a body and done some studies and like we're able to like, I should say like, maybe somebody like Kumbo knows. Like, I would listen. We were talking about that last time, like Kumbo and some of these people do know because they had so many experiences and grew up with them and stuff that maybe they would know a little bit more than we would.
Yeah, I'm not demeaning this about. I hate the term expert because to me, expert's a relative term. Because like if I go into a room full of, let's say, construction workers, I'm the expert on health and fitness at that point. But if I turn around and go to Harvard,
Yeah, yeah,
and inside a bunch of I'm no longer the expert. So somewhere along that way, then my IQ dropped 57 points because I was just in a different location. So, but I do believe there are people who have definitely more knowledge, and I think the people that believe in them make them the expert, at least in their eyes.
no, for real. And uh, that's ego though too. I feel like the word expert might as well just co-align with the word ego too, because
Especially the ones that call themselves the expert. I'm an expert in this, you know.
yeah,
And
there
now
is
they
that
even
old
have it's
line.
like they got their PhD through a third world country,
Yeah,
online and never step foot anywhere. It's like, yeah, I get heated about that one. So I'm going
yeah.
to
There's
take a
a
break.
lot of book smart people, not boots on
Well,
the like. Some things are boots on the ground, and some things like yeah, you might have to read a little bit, but you like still got to do boots on the ground and get your hands dirty. You can't just sit behind your desk and
well,
I don't
yeah,
know
not only that, but
repeat. It's like repeating the information
yeah,
or
you're just
whatever.
parroting it.
Yeah.
Um, you got to have an open mind about it. You can't say, well, this happened to me with Bigfoot, so that's the only way this happens.
Yeah, I hear
That's
people say that too. Like, I just want to share this because I think when I seen it, it did this, so this is how it is. Just so
yeah.
everybody knows. I've heard people say that like super confidently, like, well, I'm sure you know too. Like, they do different stuff, like different ones, like different places in the country too. You hear about the ones in like East Texas and stuff being like extra angry or whatever. Like, I feel like that's not like that everywhere.
Oh, that's what I mean. People don't have an open mind. They get so narrow minded, and then You know, I think that's part of the reason why some people are afraid to come forward, because these so-called experts, oh God, there's my age. I just used quotes in the air. These so-called experts have a following, and then that following just blasts the other person online into oblivion. So why would you come forward to tell your story
Well,
if all you're going to get is hate?
unfortunately, like even if we're talking about the Squatch world too, like one of the most known experts just because of TV is Moneymaker. And has he even seen one? Like I'm pretty sure that dude's not even seen one. Like, and I'm not even saying that should make you more of an expert, but in all honesty, like you got more knowledge than he does, just because you literally have come across some pretty interesting stuff and seen some like really legitimate evidence. And yeah, so you could take that knowledge and like share it with somebody over than Moneymaker, who's kind of like, oh, more or less like me, repeating a bunch of stories of other people. I mean, I've heard some stuff and seen some tree breaks and stuff, but I'm definitely my knowledge just comes from listening to a million other people talk about it. So
Yeah,
I'm definitely
I
no
think he
expert.
did. I think he did see one in Ohio. At least that was what was on the show, if I remember right.
Yeah, maybe he
But
did. I'm just like frustrated with the way his
no, and
attitude
I
is
get
and
it.
how he like running through the woods with the flashlight and the camera, like get out of here. Like you ain't finding nothing like that. Like, it's like TV. It's for TV. And then you see some of the other ones. It's like, wow, this is like the some of the worst production ever. So fake. They're like setting up fake stuff. But anyways, that's that. That's a whole nother topic.
Hey, any topic's open tonight. You know, the
Yeah.
hoaxing is what really makes this whole topic.
That's
You know,
hoaxing. So you could say what I was just talking about could pretty much be considered hoaxing because it's like whoever's watching that, maybe there's like some people watching that show. I can't even remember the ones I'm talking about. There's multiple ones I've seen though. They're like super fake though. You can just tell they're like overproduced and like they're chasing something that's not even there. And then they never show it. You know what I mean? They make noises and there's like sticks breaking, but that's all for entertainment, you know?
yeah. I mean, because what was it? I did see an interview with the whole cast from Finding Bigfoot, where they talked about. Remember that episode where they? It seemed like it took them forever to figure out the thermal image they were looking at was a horse.
Oh, yeah, 'cause the way that they were looking at it was
They were
that
looking at
certain
it head
way,
on.
and it looked like it was bigger than it was. It did look like wide shoulders the way that they were showing it
Yeah,
at first. I was like, "Oh, damn, they do got one," like, I do remember that one. Was that the same one that Moneymaker went running off? I wanna say 'cause the Moneymaker, one of those episodes they saw when he just took off towards it, and they're
yeah, I
like, "Yo,
remember
like,
that.
relax," and he just took out and I wanted that could be the same episode, but
It
yeah.
could be. But they interviewed him, and they said they were so mad they almost quit the show right then, because they knew instantly it wasn't a horse, and they tried saying that's it's a horse. You know, this isn't Bigfoot. This is but and yet in the editing they made it seem like it took a lot longer than it did, like they
Yeah.
were morons. But um, yeah, I remember that. Oh, there's that famous phrase. There's something on the hill. That's where that phrase
Yeah.
came from. And Moneymaker took off running.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now everybody knows that from the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hoaxing's the worst. You know, it's especially when I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but there was a couple people that I really, really admired for some of the stuff they had. They've done some
Yeah.
great things and furthered the field in many ways. But then to turn around and
Olympic Project and some of these other ones, yeah.
yeah, and but then to find out that they're hoaxing a thermal image
Oh,
of a
yeah.
bear is like, oh,
Yeah, it's
come
almost
on.
like it's like to create it's like how people create content, like make fake drama just to create content to get clicks. It's like the same kind of thing, but like, with this in this world or whatever, a squatching.
Yeah, you you just can't. I mean, what's this? The baby goes out with the bathwater at that point, you know?
I've seen multiple videos even in the last 10 years, like people like, oh, like, and then you'll see it trending for a second and you look at it and it's like, you can see the suit wrinkling like right away. It's like, yo, that's so, I think I was just talking to my buddy about this that I work with. He's not fully convinced. I don't know if I told this story on this show, but I told it on the other one. Um, he saw something. I want to say it's a Dogman, and it was off the side of the road, but he's still not fully convinced. Um, I was trying to show him though some videos and like kind of teach him some stuff. Like he's open to it. He's like wants to believe, but he's just not fully convinced yet. And I was going through some videos, and yeah, there's just so many fake ones. But I was trying to find like a good one to show him, and I was trying to find the one where we were talking about the last one, the fence hopper. I think we were talking
Yeah.
about that here on the last one with how what's his name stood by the fence, and you can see how
MJ Davis.
tall it. Yeah, the MK Davis, and it's like up to here on him or whatever. I was trying to find the one where it was walking on all fours, and you could see, you know how when they walk on all fours, their heads are almost like straight up and down. It's like
Yeah.
you can't mimic that. Like, and I've seen a couple of videos where, and again, like I'm not an expert, I haven't seen one, but hearing Matt, you know, a lot of people talk about that seeing that exact look. And I remember seeing one of the same lady or that family that recorded this fence hopper. I think they got another one of one walking up on all fours. And it gave me the chills when I saw it because I was like, that was the first time I saw that look with the head straight up and down. And I was trying to find that video to show them because I had been telling them about it. But then I found the fence hopper, and that video is like even so. I just watched that the other day. That video is incredible, man. Like you can see that leg is so long when it wraps around to go over that fence, and he just puts his hands on the fence, and his big old leg just goes over it, and his shoulders, you can see how big his shoulders are in that video. Like, and I'm like telling Aaron at first, he's like, that's, you know, that I don't like the videos because it could be CGI or whatever. And I'm like, dude, look at that body though. Like this is like, you can just tell this is not CGI just by like the grains and whatever, trying to show him the video. And but yeah, he was like, yo, that's like super interesting. And he's not a believer, and he was like looking at that video, like wanting to believe from how you can see how big that foot was too. That fence hopper, his foot is huge. You can see it when he's going over it. Like that's a good video. I don't
And he doesn't
that's not a fake.
and he doesn't even jump. He just lifts his leg and steps.
Yeah. Like nothing. Cause I can jump over a fence. I can run at 6'7". I can run and kind of just like, you know, hurdle over a fence, like a regular metal fence, a link chain link fence. But that's about the same size as that. And he was like, and his crotch was like this far above the fence, you know, like he's a
Yeah.
big dude.
And it was barbed wire too, so you'd be, you know, taking your manlyhood in your own hands with that one.
Yeah, I didn't even know that part. That's crazy. Yeah.
Have a good night, Henry. Um, you should show him the. You ever see the? Oh, this video's got to be 15 years old by now. The white Bigfoot with the
Where they're shining through the woods and all of a sudden he's standing there.
yeah.
That's a good one too.
They actually break that down, and you can actually see the eyes blink. It's like you're not going to make a mass blink; those are eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. MK Davis has a lot of video. MK Ultra. MK Davis has a lot of cool like breakdowns of that type of stuff for
Yeah,
sure.
I love watching him, and especially with as much work as he's done on that Patterson Gimlin film. You know, stabilizing Patty and everything as she walks, and going into
Yeah.
depth about being able to see the bottom of her foot. You know, the perfect pad and
And
toes, and
she got breasts,
you know,
and you can see like the muscle movements and the thighs and stuff. Like, yeah, I was. Yeah, that's actually how the conversation started with him. He said because he knows I'm interested in the topic, so he brought it up. Like I saw over the weekend, I saw that video, and he was trying to describe it. I'm like, oh, that's Patty. Like, yeah, that's like the most famous footage, and that's how the topic started. But that's a topic starter for a lot of people. Is that video? And I
yeah.
think
I mean,
I know the first time I saw it, I didn't even need the proof. I saw it and I was like, oh shit. Like, but again, even when I first saw it, it was like I was a kid, so I didn't really know. But as I got older and I saw it, I mean, as a kid, I was like, you know, that's a Bigfoot. Like to me, it was like a real thing because I don't know, you just heard about it over in the northwest. But that's why, you know, when I was growing up, I just thought they were over there. Which is
see now
also
you
why I'm
can
so
be,
fascinated now because they're like in the backyard, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And for you, you can understand a little more what it would take to fake that too, because you're 6'7". Now imagine putting another 4 to 5 inches on you
Yeah,
and
oh that
3 or
yeah.
400
Mhm.
pounds walking in a suit out there.
Yeah, so your suit is going to be your feet are going to probably be standing on something that's like elevating you like this. And then you're having to create that muscle mass too. So it's like you got to have the perfect jelly or whatever. Cause it's like even that video you could see there's no suit wrinkle. You know, all these other videos that are fake, like the dude one that was recent, there was like one kind of squatted down and the people on the train saw it kind of
Oh
squatted
yeah.
over. That's like the second I saw that, I was like, that's a suit. Like that's not no, that's a suit. Like I kind of squinted and looked for it and played it back a couple of times just to confirm, but it's like, yeah, it's a suit. And it's I think I was, like, just telling my buddy, though, like, there's things that you can tell, by the fake videos is you start with, you look at the shoulders, look at how tall the legs are, and typically the arms are gonna go down to the knees. Like, and they typically don't have a shoulder or neck either, so and again, I've never seen one, but, just hearing all the descriptions of everybody else seeing them, like, they have a certain look to them. Unless, I mean, there's, like I don't know, what are the other, what do they call them? Like the 3 and 4, like the bare-faced
Yeah,
ones? Or there's like I don't know, but I feel like those have all the same body though, it's like the same body. Might not have the same face, but
yeah, it'd
it's
be
still pretty big.
the same proportions. I mean, just like humans, we got a certain proportion. No matter, comparing all 6 of you to 6 foot of me, the proportions are going to be leg to arm and everything. You know, if not exactly, very darn close to the same.
Yeah.
If that wasn't true, we went to modern medicine because how would they know where to operate? Got to put this guy knee back. Well, first we got to find it. Or heart surgery, or so we all have to be the same on some level, just different looks. Same thing with Bigfoot, I would imagine. Again, I'm guessing. It's my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not
But
saying
yeah,
that's
it's but I feel like some of these opinions like the um guessing or you're saying your opinion and theorizing or whatever, it's based off of a lot of different things though, like coming to that conclusion. Like especially the size is like undeniable. That's to me, like there's a couple videos that come to mind where they're in a distance. Like one of them is the one where that family is playing at that, hut that they found at it's some they're at some like state park or something. And then there's a kid they're filming on like, old school camera. And so one of the family members is like, look at that, what is that? And I remember the first time I saw that video, I was like, that's something like, this is a setup or whatever, like for views. But that's like you look at the context of it, like, no, they're just like a family on whatever, and they just see this like, and if you look how far away it is, it's like, only this far, this tall in the video, but it's like way up on the mountain, and it's still pretty huge, and it's like waving its arms, and it's like pretty. You can tell it's like big, just even from how far away it is, and
yeah, it looked big,
like we're saying, like
lanky.
for that to be in a suit, those arms would have to be like really big, and it, like a lot of suits would be all baggy, and it just wouldn't look right, you know.
Yeah. Well, and that's like back with the Patty film. They didn't have spandex back then. If you watch Planet of the Apes, the first one, that's the best Hollywood could do. So
Yeah, and
to
that's
try to
like
compare,
yeah. Because
Hollywood
then
Planet of the Apes to that, I mean, that's night and day. And they're going to say two cowboys had more um, resources and money and technology than what Hollywood had.
I'll tell you, I gotta say this too, because this is part of the disinformation or whatever. Um my buddy that said that he saw that video is like as we were talking about, he's like, yeah. And then there's two guys, and I was like, yeah, Patterson and Gimlin. And he's like, yeah, yeah. And he's like, the one guy, he came forward and said he was wearing the suit. And the other guy Phil, I'm like, come on, man. Like, look, and that's when we started talking about the size of the thing, and like, look at how big that is. Like, that's like that's not a guy in the suit. Like, it's clearly not a man in the suit.
No, there was a guy, and I'll look it up and send it to you after the show, that did come forward saying he was the one that wore it. And then
Yeah,
they
I remember seeing something about it somewhere.
and their recreation, even in the 90s,
And that
you're
dude
talking
probably only got paid like 20 grand. Like here, like, and I know 20
exact.
grand's a lot. I'm not saying it's not a lot, like, but it's like he probably didn't get paid all that much just to tell the story, or maybe he's saying it just to, I
Just
don't know,
doing
but
it
it's
to
not.
discredit the film so people lose interest in it. Because if they lose interest, then they don't have to explain it.
Yeah, who's the one who's still alive? Gimlin?
Yeah, Bob Gimlin's still alive,
Yeah,
but there
so
was a
he
third
like he's
person.
still out there talking. Like when you hear him talk, you know what I'm saying? When you hear people tell stories, when they're BSing you, and
Yeah,
like if they're telling the same type of stories over and over, because even listening to podcasts of other people telling Squatch stories, you can usually like, you're gonna get some fake ones in there, and you can usually pick them right out because like the way that they're kind of just like convincing you of their story, and that's when you're like, okay, you don't need to convince us. It's just like tell the story. There's no
yeah,
convincing. Just tell the story. It'll convince itself if it is like, and those are the ones that are like, it's this way. I think they're doing it because they're talking in my mind because and like how do you know that? Like you just gave a big, like how do you know he's talking in your mind because of whatever? Like you don't know that. Like you just threw that in there. Like that was your idea. And I'm not saying no, I'm just saying like some of these there's a lot of information that probably should be vetted.
yeah.
And like videos that need to be vetted.
Well, and the weird thing is that for something that's not, I mean, I know popular culture loves vampires and stuff like that, but if you look at how many times Bigfoot's been in different TV shows and referenced, I mean, for something that's not real, they sure do like to bring it up a lot. Whether
Yeah, I
it's
mean
just
Chewbacca 100% was there's a bunch of people who've said it just working with him back in the day. I can't think of his name offhand. George Lucas had information that goes back to like the alien stuff of him having maybe part of like some circle where they're like make some movies on this. We got a soft what is that called, disclosure by dropping some of this information, and Squatch is probably just part of that, like but that's also if we are like we saw one and they're like it's like they compare it to like the TV show or a movie or something. It's like a Harry and the Hendersons, ha ha ha.
yeah, that's what Sandra says. He grew up with the Hendersons, good times. The cool thing about that movie, I don't did you know at the very end, when they kind of all start to appear?
Hmm.
There was no CGI or anything. They were actually just standing still. So that was how good
Wow,
they were.
that's as you say that, because I remember, I don't know if I like heard somebody say this or maybe I just came to this in my head, but just by watching it, like somebody knew something watching, making that. There's like those people making that. Like, cause you go to the Northwest, it's like that here though. There's like Bigfoot stuff everywhere here too, but I feel like over there, it's like, there's even a law. You can't kill a Sasquatch. It's like against the law. There's like, you look in the nature book, there's like a Sasquatch in that. So, maybe not the new one, but I know there used to be, you would find the Sasquatch in their animal book of the state or whatever. So it's like known, like legally, you could say, like, why would they make laws about it if it wasn't a thing? And I think those were along before that. Where was that movie made? Like Oregon or Washington or something? I feel like it was somewhere
I'm
in
not
those
sure. I
those
want to say
woods.
Washington or California.
Yeah, somewhere over on the West Coast or Northwest or something. It looks like those type of woods, but that's cool. As you're saying that, sorry, I didn't want to lose that because that's like really cool. Because I don't know if we were talking about that, and that's how I think a lot of people don't see them is because they are just we talked about that like them being like tree stumps when they squat down like that, or just like if they're just standing there in the brush just right the way that their fur is, it like kind of reflects a certain light where
Yeah.
your eyes don't pick it up the same. And it's not saying that they're like invisible. It's just because they're so still, our mind isn't going there, you know?
Yeah.
That's crazy that you say that though, because I remember that. I haven't seen that movie in a while, but I remember that and they started popping out at the end there. I'm gonna have to go watch that.
Yeah. When I watched that movie, um, first thing that popped in my mind was, oh, somebody's had an experience. It's too good. You know what I mean? It's like almost like somebody saw one and knew all the little intricacies. And it was filmed in Washington.
Yeah, I mean there's literally Sasquatch family. And he went back home to his family and there was like a bunch of them. Like like that takes away of the narrative of there's only one.
Yeah.
Because it's like back before when people saw Patty for the longest time, I feel like in the conscious of, you know, at least the Western hemisphere seemed like there was only one if you didn't research it or whatever. Like maybe if you were the green guy, I can't remember his first name. Bob Green, is it, that wrote that book? And He's one of the first researchers. I
Oh
think his
yeah.
last name is Green, but uh, maybe he knew some more. But it's like you had to be either read his book or like that type of information wasn't just necessarily out everywhere.
I want to say John Green.
John Green. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, he was one. I believe I, I don't. Guy, I hate to
Could-
talk about misinformation. I think he was one of the ones that went to the construction site just before the Patty film was done, where he went down and followed the tracks to the construction equipment, and they had quite the trackway. And that was when Bob Gimlin got called, and
Oh, so
they.
John Green was actually part of that scenario at one point?
I don't think he was in
Or maybe
as
that's
far
why
as
they
he
went
wasn't on
there?
the expedition. I think he was there before, and I might be speaking out of turn on this one.
Yeah.
Um,
No, but I think I know you. I hear you because I think, yeah, there's like, and what's the other guy who had the other video? I know this is like would be switching to that somebody else, but
oh, Paul Freeman.
yeah, his video is pretty good too.
Yeah, he showed exactly what you were talking about, where it was walking, and then it stops, and it literally just looks like it disappears. But
Yeah.
I think it's the way the light hit the fur, just turned it green, like the trees,
Yeah.
and then it started
And I
moving again.
think, and who knows, like we don't know, like maybe they can do some sort of vibration and or like even what is that lizard to get they can change colors.
Bro, chameleon.
Yeah, like maybe
Yeah,
there's something like that like going on. Like it's definitely anything's plausible at this point, the how they sometimes disappear and just from because how many people have said that like it just disappeared right into the tree. It just
yeah.
disappeared. And like, I was just talking to my friend on the phone that was on the phone was like she was talking about like, you know, from her knowledge of what she gained along like reaching it's about portals and coming in and out of portals and stuff. And we know like that's talked about in Carpenter with his video with the portal and stuff. Like that's super creepy. I don't want to see no portal at my spot.
I'm good with it. There's enough stuff out there. I don't know. Portal.
Oh,
Tennessee.
Tennessee, most I feel like doesn't one of those famous the Appalachians go through there? I
Yeah.
know there's like some
Smoky the
definitely some
Appalachians.
mountainous for sure. I mean, yeah, anything out like there's all sorts of spots there.
Oh yeah.
I don't. I'm
All through
not.
that
I can't
mountain
tell you
range.
them, but I can. Yeah.
Oh, Smokies run through there, right? Or am I wrong?
I can't remember. I just know some sort of mountain range runs through there.
Yeah, I know Tennessee's a hot spot with all through that thick stuff. Oops. Hope so I spell mountain right. Great Smoky. There we go.
Yep. I just popped up as you said it. Yeah.
So yeah, I've had friends. A friend rented a cabin down there, and uh, she's got pictures. You really got to zoom in, and there is some pixelation, so you kind of guess. But that night they were, the night before they had uh, heard something in the woods. It was late at night. Didn't think anything of it because it was, you know, they're in the mountains. Of course, they're gonna hear stuff. And then the next day, they heard something um, moving around, and a stick got thrown. A rock. Sorry, it was a rock. So her son picked the rock back up and threw it back, and then it got growled at down there. And then that night, she was on the phone to me messaging. She's like, "We got sticks and rocks landing on the house. What are we supposed to do?" And I'm like, "Do you got a recorder? Put a microphone out so we can hear this." And no way, we're not going outside. And they could hear something slap the house, and then like fingernails being dragged across the side. So
Yeah.
those
I would
nerves.
hate that. I can't front. Like if I had an experience, that's one I wouldn't want to have. If like
Yeah, that's
banging
scary.
on the house and like hearing them on the roof and stuff. No, I would be freaking out. I would feel like I'm like claustrophobic and can't get away, type feeling.
Yeah, and she
You
took.
talking about LBL, like Land Between Lakes?
Oh yeah, LBL's just rat crap crazy down there from everything I've heard.
But
You got
I don't want to take away
Dogman
you.
down there, you got Bigfoot, you got all kinds of other stuff in there.
Yeah. What were you saying about the picture? And like she took a picture. I don't want to.
Eh, I mean, there's definitely it's not definitely going to move the needle, but it actually looks like it's got its hand across its face trying to hide. But we'll say
I've
doing
heard
this,
that. Yeah. I've seen that. I've heard people
and
say that they do that. You know what I mean? Like create that whatever it is.
yeah, I had never heard that. So to see it was like, holy crap, they know enough to cover their face with their hand.
And I think we were talking. I don't know if I said it here maybe before. My brother-in-law used to. He was like the guy in Alaska when they were like doing something way out in the fields or whatever, and he would be. He'd have a rifle, and there'd be a couple of riflemen, kind of just like because there'd be like polar bears and stuff walking around. They just wanted to be, safe or whatever. And he was talking about when it's like snowing, the polar bears would cover their eyes with their paws as they're like creeping up, so you can't see their eyes. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Like, if they want you on alive, you won't hear them coming until it's too late. Sounds like child's play to me. And it could be. It could also be just intimidation, like because he threw the rock back. So now they want him gone. It could be the teenagers messing around. That seems to be who gives the most uh, static to people. Or,
Hmm.
just like
It just,
when we're young teenagers, messing around.
but I feel like when it's something like that, like you'll hear laughing. You know what I mean? Especially there's two of them, and typically it's not going to be just
Oh,
one teenager like chucking rocks. You know what I mean? Or are you talking about like Squatch teenagers, like a juvenile? Is that what you're
yeah, like
saying?
juvenile
Yeah,
squatches.
yeah. Yeah, because humans too.
I mean,
But I
they got
feel
to
like
be more.
even juveniles, like I've heard, they're like laughing. Like that would be so cool to hear, like a squad laugh, right? Like haha, like throwing a rock and like laughing. Like that's awesome. Oh,
Less
I don't know if
together.
I told you. My I think I'll just to be brief with it. My
Yeah.
buddy ended up telling me the full story about him when he saw one in Washington when he was a kid and he was on a boat with his stepdad and his mom, and it was on the shore. And he wasn't a believer either. And like after I talked to him about it like a bunch of times, like he finally retold me the story. As he's telling me, I can hear him becoming a believer as he's telling me the story, just because he's describing this furry, you know, and it's like on the shoreline. And he was describing it being small, like a juvenile. That's what reminded me of it. But I asked him, I was like, but could that be possibly it looked like that because it was, you were in the boat and it was far away? And that's why it looked kind of smaller to your memory. And he's like, yeah, that's actually a possibility. But either whether it was a juvenile or not, it's like it was a hairy, two-legged creature that it would freaked him out so much that his stepdad pulled out a gun and shot at it. And then it took off into the woods, and then it reappeared on the other side of the lake. And it was just standing there, staring at him. It didn't do nothing, but it was just standing there. And I was like, yeah, it was probably a juvenile just messing with you because it was like wasn't really doing nothing, or just like curious or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, he said that lasted like a while, like a good half hour plus. Like it just like appeared and then it would just stand there and kind of pace around. And they were kind of freaking out, like in their boat.
See,
But
and like you said, I think they're probably laughing on the inside.
yeah.
Look
Or
how
like
look at the little people. You know, look how freaked
yeah,
out they're getting.
yeah. And I like that's like the whole thing of like if they wanted to hurt you, like it's not that hard,
Oh yeah,
like just like flick you and you bust your bones.
with how quiet they move and like like I think I told you it was either on the show or behind after the show where I knew something was there and couldn't see anything, so I finally took a selfie over my shoulder, and you can see one hiding behind a birch tree trying to do the like I'm not here, and you can see the front half sticking out because he was so big from the birch tree.
Wait, is that one of
So
the pictures you sent me?
no, no, I'll have to send you that one.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to see that. I've seen some videos that are like that, or pictures where you can see that the big shoulder sticking out, and it just I'm hiding. You can't see me.
Yeah. Yep, I'm John Cena. Don't see me.
But that's that whole disappearing thing, how people see that and then all of a sudden they're gone. And it's like, then you think, because I've seen another video where it goes from up to down, and the way it's like the pixels couldn't even keep up with how fast it dropped. It was just like its head just like disappeared. I feel like Survivor Man. There's like one of his episodes, one of the Bigfoot episodes. There's like a hand that pops up and it's super fast. It's just a, but that video, it made me think like that you could go from seeing it at the tree with the shoulder sticking out to just dropping on all fours, or maybe the spider crawl and just you just don't even see it. It's
Have
gone.
you seen the this Robert Dodson video with the yellow eyes at night? And then he
Is
runs
that the
at it.
guy that was like, I see it, I'm gonna go in after it? And he's
Yeah.
got a real strong southern accent. Yeah, I love that video. That's one of my favorite videos because he goes,
Standing
I'm
there
going
looking for it.
after it. Jumps in there, he's got his light, he's running in there, and he's shining around, and all of a sudden you see the eyes. It's like, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a rock. Oh crap. Don't ever do this
Yeah.
as he's running back away.
And he's like he's like narrating the whole time. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
There's another creepy one that's like that of the window watcher. I think that's what they call it. It's like appears in the window and you can see it's like full face, like kind of just appear and its eyes are kind of glowing. Not as glowing like that, but just like a little bit. And it's super creepy video because it's like the full face.
Oh yeah. That'd be cool. I haven't seen that one.
Oh yeah, you know what I heard too? This reminded me of it that like polio and stuff, how different diseases that came through, like, a few hundred years ago and, like, kinda ravaged a bunch of people. Some say that or not some say, like, I heard this, that it also, like, eradicated a lot of the squatches, and there was, like, a lot of stuff like that. And again, this could be, like, hearsay or just, like, um but it's like some of this stuff just seems pretty logical why they would be super evasive in avoidance. Because but I'll say this to circle back, they're not necessarily avoidant of certain people, like, they're still interacting with necessarily, like, some tribes and stuff. There's definitely a lot of tribes that talk about when they have ceremony that they'll just pop up, and it's been like that the whole time. Um, but, for, like, regulars of all, the people outside of that, uh, yeah, I mean, look at we're out in the woods, like, shooting guns, probably for, like, years, like, shooting at them. You know what I mean? Like, how many people had shot at them and didn't really say nothing? They just probably had a moment and, like, unloaded their whole clip at it or whatever and took off. Or maybe
Yeah.
that's the guy that went missing. But that Squatch is, like, passing on to its family, like, "Stay away from them." Like, that's how many times that they talk about they can tell what a gun is. They can tell. And you know what I did learn too this week I didn't know this, that regular cameras, I didn't know that, like, it's got the ultraviolet, there's like a couple light sources that pop out of it. I don't, maybe it's not ultraviolet, but it's some sort of
Oh, the
I've heard the
IR.
game cameras have that, but all I didn't know that all cameras necessarily put off that, that's why they're avoidant of it. For some reason it just like, because like we were talking about the fence hopper, that's filmed because they took the camera and they put it originally. These things were in their backyard a bunch, so they took the camera and they stuck it outside. They were trying to get pictures of them, but once they stuck the camera out there, they never got a picture because they were avoiding in front of that camera the whole time. But then they took the camera and they turned it around and faced a mirror, and then the mirror is what recorded that, and that's how they were able to record it because for some reason it wouldn't, like, I don't know if like the whatever you're saying isn't beaming out.
Yeah. I think I binge watched those videos and watched them 4 or 5 times. One time when I had surgery. For anybody who's interested in them, I know it's on MK Davis, Green Wave 2020. If I think that's his channel.
Yeah.
You can go on there and check them out because the junk man or fence hopper and the creek runner is pretty good. And MK does a great job. Even I think they're 4 or 5 years old now, but great job breaking them down. And
And if you're not a believer and like you want to watch something like that, like it's always good to go into videos like that with the backstory. Like that house isn't just like that's not just like a one night thing. That house has had like issues with it. They were getting stuff stolen out of their property by these things, like their garden getting ransacked. And they would like visibly see them because they live there. They'd look outside and there's one like in the garden or whatever. Like, yeah, that's some, like I said, those videos where it's on its all fours and it's walking. It's so creepy. Like, oh yeah, that's
Or
like
where
they got
that
some
guy,
good footage.
where the dad or the man of the house got leveled by one because he was out there after it stole some chickens.
Yeah,
You run right into it. It's like,
yeah,
and from the eyes, it was what, like 10 feet tall. The eyes were
yeah.
about 10 feet,
That
according to that. So
a
I can't
lot of farmers.
imagine,
No, go ahead.
I cannot imagine what that guy was thinking, knowing how big they are, and going out there with like just a, I don't know. I don't think he was armed. I think he had like a bat or something ridiculous.
I
And
know.
you're
Can
going
you
after
imagine
something
that?
that's 8 to 10 foot and 1,000 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple stories where they just like tear the wall right off the chicken coop. Just like, you know what I mean? Like, or pull the door open, just like rip it open. But I
Yeah,
just looked it up. It is infrared. Is that what? So, um, wait, most cameras, particularly security camera. Oh, yeah. I feel like it's not just infrared. Oh, yeah, it's IR. Is that what you said? IR?
yep,
But
yeah. I
anyways,
can.
it emits it. So you can like see, we can't necessarily see it, but it's like maybe with their vision and the way their eyes, like why they glow when you shine lights on them and stuff. Like some
That's
people say that they can light them up and just like I don't believe that in myself, but like the
yeah,
moonlight could probably light it up and stuff.
yeah. I think you're. I think the same thing there is. I think that I don't think they're self-illuminating. I think they just reflect more light back,
Yeah,
so that they appear to be glowing. And
and
because
that's I think
even shining light in my cat or my dog's eyes isn't anywhere near as bright as like those two eyeballs I saw staring at me with
yeah,
my
I know.
headlights.
Oh
It
my
was,
gosh, yeah, I can't imagine
it
that
was
those
totally
they're
different.
that bright in that video we are talking about. They're like,
Yeah, those
like
were,
they're just like dark all around the eyes, and there's like two glowing eyes just like sticking out of the dark. Yeah, creepy.
and as fast as it moved up and down,
Yeah.
flesh and blood with modified capabilities. That's what I think they have. There's just stuff they can do we don't understand yet, or
Well, I mean,
lost the
it's even
ability to.
even one thing that we can prove is the sagittal. Is it the sagittal crest in the foot, or is that in the brain in the head? Is
That's
that
on
the
the nine.
sagittal crest?
Yep.
Yeah. So whatever the thing is in the foot, the extra bend we were talking about, you can see it in the footprint you sent me. It's like halfway through their foot in the middle. It's got another bend, so it
Yeah.
bends at the toes and the middle of the foot. So that's like I'm not saying that's like a. I mean, maybe that's like how they can jump like 30 feet because there's some crazy like road jumping stories too or
Oh
scenes.
yeah, I forgot you all about those.
But I
So
mean,
you
I
were in
guess
that.
if you're 8 foot tall and you're super big, I'm sure that type of jump might just be easy anyway.
Yeah, but man, 8 foot tall and you gotta be 600 pounds unless you're a skinny guy. A lot of muscle.
Oh yeah, they're definitely way more advanced than what they show. Like 100%. Like first off, if like a lot of people that don't believe might not like understand this, but they're making all sorts of intelligent decisions. Most animals only make like prey and survival decisions. You know what I mean? Like they're either going to run or they're going to attack or they're going to kind of just check it out. Like these things are like making all sorts of very intelligent decisions on how they maneuver. Like when
Oh
you
yeah.
pull out a gun and it's like how many stories you see when you pull out a gun and all of a sudden their eyes get big or they're like looking at you. Like don't do that. Like I've heard so many people say that story. Like you better not do that. Like hunters that like put them in their scope or whatever, and they look back at them and like you eyes all big or whatever, or they just like look mad and show their teeth. Do that
Yeah,
big.
there's several. Oh yeah, where or were they? You found out one pulled rifle out, they turn around and that person disappears, but they find the rifle wrapped around the tree.
Yeah,
You know,
I've heard
that's
that
like
so many times. Yeah. Or they take the hunting stand and tear it out of the tree and shred it all up. I mean, even like things like throwing like some of those like construction barrels, like some of the stuff that people are like there's just like something like that. Like that's like immense strength. Like if you're up in the woods, I'm pretty sure uh Bobo, or is that his name? Has a story like that. Not Bobo, Moneymaker on that show, the guy like that's like because he used to do the logging and working like way up in the woods.
oh, Bobo
Um,
did. Yeah.
yeah, is it Bobo? That's his name. Yeah.
Yep.
So Bobo, he has a story like back when he started getting interested about the construction equipment, like that type of thing. Like think about that. That's like that construction equipment is like brought way up in the hill, way out of nowhere, and you get to work the next day, and now it's at the bottom of the hill, all beat up. Like that's not just some teenagers out having fun for the night. Like that's I mean, yeah, maybe if you can see like a tumble, like some teenager got like some equipment rolling, then a roll down the hill, but this thing is like thrown down the hill. Like that's
There's a experience I know of, and he's got the paperwork to back it up. Is uh, a person was out and camping, and he was only like 7 or 8 at the time, and he went and was playing on some construction equipment, and then 2 juvenile Bigfoot came up and were playing with the equipment too. And even got to the point where they shoved him out, and all of a sudden they got mad and started breaking in the equipment. And then, regular, I don't know if it was a construction crew who came, but started yelling, and the 2 little Bigfoot took off, and this other individual took off. And it made the papers because they actually found out who the individual was, and he told them it was 2 Bigfoot, and they didn't believe him. But all they found were uh, his barefoot tracks, and then 2 other set of barefoot tracks running off. So in the report that made the paper, it said uh, 1 young kid and 2 teenagers guilty of construction vandalism, and it said 2 teenagers dressed all in black
yeah. And
were
that
running them, and yet they were barefoot.
I heard somebody a couple of different government people that work for the government on these type of things. Again, like this could all be just, misinformation too to just kind of steer it, but it makes sense. What I'm gonna say is that's like a thing. You know how they always say it's a bear? It's like
Yep.
that's part of you could say like how they even do how MK what I said earlier, MK Ultra, how that type of thing works. It's like you're telling you saw a bear. You saw a bear. And that's like a way to convince you because you're already freaked out and you're like trying to tell your story. And obviously like not everybody's gonna repeat the bear thing, but um if your mind isn't right, like you might easily kind of or you don't want to see it. So you're like, yeah, I did see a bear. And that thing with the bear and all that is always the go-to. And I heard a couple people say that's just the go-to thing that they teach you when you're like going through to like go talk to different people about some of these topics. You can't, you'll never admit it. You never admit it. You just always reverse their psychology on them and convince them otherwise. And that's like
Yeah.
you reminded me of a news clip I saw too. I was in like Montana or something, and it was just somebody on the side of a highway or something that saw one cross the road, and there was footprints. So this person, the camera, there's like the news person is interviewing the person who saw it. I can't remember if it was like a road crossing or something, but I just remember the footprints, and they were showing them on the news. And I remember seeing the footprints. It's like those, the ones that are right in front of each other, and they're super far apart. Like come on, like there's no way, like, and it was a long old trail that went across this like blank field of mud, back before the corn's growing. It's all just like solid dirt or whatever, and that's what it was. It was like walked across that, and the camera like panned across to it, and the news people kind of were just like, yeah, you don't know what you saw, but they did it to make a news out of it. But that doesn't go very far. People are just like, this guy's crazy. I
Yeah.
could I could
Especially
duplicate that. That's just somebody walking through the field. I could do that.
Yeah, and especially when normally the anchors on the show kind of laugh when they're talking about it. Oh, another man
Yeah,
saw Bigfoot. Here's the Bigfoot.
yeah,
Aha. It belittles it right from the beginning. So
yeah. Even the UFO stuff is happening like that now, but that's that's a whole nother topic.
yeah, well,
But
the
that's part of keeping it. When whoever said something earlier about them being so elusive, I think that's different. I think you got it twisted. I think they're not so elusive. I think they're seen all the time, but they're just not talked about all the time. Uh, and like especially somebody like Kumbo or these different people that have had them on their property for like their whole life. You know, like Kumbo talking about his grandpa taking him out to the back tree when he was 5, like, don't go over there. The catamount are over there, you know. And he didn't know what a catamount was till he got older. Come to find out, he saw one like outside his window when he was a kid, and like, you know, just growing up with them on his property. But like somebody like us, I don't think they're necessarily living, you know, between mine and your house, like in a den somewhere. Maybe they are, you know, but I'd like to think they're just kind of bouncing around. Like they're just nomadic. Like humans are nomadic too. We don't
yeah,
necessarily stay in the same spot, like all of us.
you got to stay where the money and the food is.
Yeah,
No money,
follow
no
the
food.
food.
Got to find a new place.
And if say your home is right here in this like forest right here, and your home is right here, and there's no house around, and it's like super thick forest, you can't get in there. It's not going to be very long till you eat everything in that forest. If you're, you know, a family of Bigfoot, like that's
Yeah,
a lot of calories you got to eat. All them,
that's what
all the squirrels, everything's gone.
people don't. Some people don't think about is you start breaking it down a little bit, and you know energy expenditure. Calories to maintain. I know. I At 250, I got to eat a little over 3,200 calories. Now times that by 3 or 4. That's a whole lot of calories to be consuming daily. you know, that's a lot of
Yeah.
woodpeckers.
I don't eat enough food. That's probably partially why I'm like stay thin or whatever. Like, I mean, I eat, but definitely a lot, like here and there. But I think when you say 3,200 calories, I don't even know what that is. Like, my mind can't even fathom that. I don't even know. But I can imagine like them having to, like, just a deer kill isn't gonna last like weeks, you know?
No, not at all.
So many hunters got deer missing. They kill it, and then all of a sudden the deer's gone too.
Oh yeah, I think that's like
That's
a dinner bell anymore.
that's like a
They don't.
repeated story. And if you're a hunter, like you're not going back to hunting camp and be like, Sasquatch stole my deer, you know, like you're gonna not talk about it. Like, would you? Like, again, like I'm only speaking to like the like if you're a non-believer, like, you know, doubtful of the subject. Because I was like, you know, it's good to go into it with an open mind and like try to find a different reason. I mean, like something like you saw, like you can't just be like, that was a bear. Like, that's not a bear, like 8 foot tall, you know, whatever. Like you can't mimic a bear can't make its shoulders 4 feet wide, especially a black bear around here. They're only, you know, I mean, there's bigger bears, but I feel like those are in the UP. And yes, bears can stand up and walk a little bit, but
Yeah, not very well for very long.
yeah. Or even create a stride that has been seen many different times. Like that's just incredibly huge stride. Like that's on you can't like I said, I'm 6'7". I've tried to mimic it multiple times. And I literally have to run and jump to make the same stride.
Yeah,
And
now
then what?
imagine trying to do that for however long your trackway is, more than one
Yeah.
step.
Like that's the first one that uh whatever I said his name last week, the scientist in Washington that is the foot guy. The first
Oh,
tracks he
that's a
saw
lumber.
were yeah, like he saw those ones in the mud and that's the same thing. Like they're super far apart. And he walked right up to him and knew right away, like, oh, that's it's an interesting foot.
Yeah,
Big old toe.
exactly. Toe as big as round as my foot.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean that you can see the toes in that picture you sent me. That's crazy. That's a good one. That's a good one. Because you can
Yeah,
see the foot bend in the snow, like the middle foot,
yeah.
and the way the toes go in.
I've been blessed. That's the only way, because there's a lot of people that go a lot of years without even hearing even a howl. And because of a friend put me in a certain spot at the right time, I was able to catch some pretty cool stuff. Hopefully it keeps
Yeah,
up.
yeah. So it might not like we'd have to go check. I say we because I'm coming this year. They have to go check like you know spring, summer, fall, probably multiple times each one, and they might not. You might not even see anything but one of the times. You know, because like I said, I've been in the woods my whole life, so I've never seen one. But again, I've always been looking. I've definitely heard them.
Little Twisted, do you think they're so big because their diet is mostly protein? I think they're so big genetically and they just have to eat protein to get their calories intake.
And here, like
The
I think,
grizzly bear is going to grow naturally to a certain size as long as they're well fed.
could you see? Yeah, you see the handprints. Their fingers are super fat. And then like those greasy handprints that you can see like the shape
Yeah,
of their hand. Like their hands are so big. Like that body's got to like match that
yeah,
hand and like those legs. It's like almost scary to think about. Like could literally just pick you up and just like, because how strong it
yeah,
is. And I think I'm a firm believer that they climb trees and like use trees as like maneuvering too through the woods. Maybe not like bouncing like this, like swinging from one to the next, but can like go up them and like hide for a second type stuff too. And uh that's might be some of the reason why we don't see them or they disappear so quick because they're just like super good. They can be in the way that they're shaped and what they are. It's almost like they're like a perfect machine. Well, in our eyes, it looks funny because we're us and we think we're like the top of the echelon of this whole universe, because we're us. And like we don't know nothing. We're like literally learning as we go right now, like on all sorts of
yeah.
stuff. Like we were putting lead in our stuff like not too long ago. Like, with all sorts of stuff we weren't doing that wasn't very smart. So yeah.
Little Twisted, how many chromosomes they have. I don't know. I never got to read that. Um,
How about catch them?
was it the Olympic Project? The
Yeah.
Dr. Ketchum's. I
Yep.
didn't count I don't know about how many. I just remember that there was DNA that matched human mother but unidentifiable father.
And I'll tell you, that's the same as I know this is a different topic, but that's the same as the DNA test that they did on the elongated skulls too. It's like one of the sides they can't. I think they can find it's like a human mother but unidentified father.
Sandro Sayaka says, sure the government already knows. I know they know. And that's why we're
Oh
not
yeah, that's what's
finding
his
stuff.
name that we were talking about the president who saw one and um and wrote about it in his book. Um,
Oh yeah,
what
Teddy
were we talking?
Roosevelt.
Yeah, and I want to say was it him that made the national parks?
Yep.
So you got to wonder about that, like I don't know, like making sure that they always have somewhere to go or something. I mean, I don't think we could. There's like even Michigan, like we live in Michigan. I was talking to Aaron about that. The dude I work with, like he's like just thinking about how much forest is just here in Michigan. Like it's like 80%, I think. It's a huge number. The state's covered in forest. That's a lot of forest
Yeah,
that
there's
isn't. And it's not even hunters like don't necessarily walk everywhere, you know what I mean? Like typically they'll go off trail a little bit, but they'll follow a trail usually to get to where they're going.
yeah, I forget. They did a study and I don't remember the exact number, but I remember it being in the single digits of if we took every trail cam ever made, and that's including the ones that are junk, don't work. If we took every one that ever made and put them out, it would only cover, it was like 8 or 9% of the forest in the United States alone.
Yeah.
So people are wondering why we're not getting them on trail cams and stuff. It's like, it's way thicker than what people believe.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I've been on some adventures in the UP in the woods up the north, and they're a little bit thicker woods in here, and it's most people just aren't going to go wandering through woods like that. Like it's just too thick. You can't necessarily maneuver through that very easily. And we're talking about like the size of them. If it's like too thick, they can just go down in a spider crawl and just shoot across underneath it and then just pop back up. I'm not saying that's what they do, but like they can maneuver in ways that we can't. I think we think about them in like human standards, and it's like, imagine being born in the, because I mean it's not always woods, because they're in desert areas too,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I never really looked too deep into that. It's just interesting to think where they would. I mean, I guess yeah, some of the desert areas have like little tree clumps and stuff here and there too. So, and there's waterways to follow, and that's all I feel like is majority of it is following the waterways.
Yeah, like in Texas, that the big thicket is supposed to
Yep.
be real.
I think that's the East Texas that I mentioned earlier. That's like, I was listening to a lot of stories there, and those seem to have like some angry, like ones that like get mad at you if you come around.
All right, my friend. I think we definitely got to get you back on. We haven't talked about this night sky stuff yet, so
Yeah,
sometime here
most
soon we'll get
definitely.
you back on. And
Yeah.
then you and I will meet up when it gets a little warmer. But I think we'll call her a wrap for tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Any questions?
Hope everybody has a good night.
Yeah,
on this
you
Hallmark
too.
holiday.
You gotta, yeah, exactly. You gonna hang out backstage for a second?
Yeah, I ain't doing nothing. My daughter just got home. I want to go say hi to her, but when we get off, yeah.
All right. 1 second.
Yep.
See here. All right, everyone. Thanks for dropping in, especially on Valentine's Day. That means a lot because I'm sure there are other things you can be doing. Good questions. Obviously, David will be coming back because he has a lot more to offer. But for tonight, we're going to wrap it and say happy Valentine's Day to one and all. And from coast to coast and around the world, everybody have a good night, and we will see you next week.
YouTube channel near you.